West and Balmain scored 1 try each in a tough, relentless clash. Kicking was the difference.
Tigers are really dropping some pressure. Devine goes for the drop goal and gets it.
It was 9-6 at half-time to Wests, and there was no change in the second half. So the Magpies now on 19 points, equal second for the moment. Balmain remain on 16 points, and they have to win them all from here. Well, time to dig into our vault. And in July, 14 years ago, Australia played a 3-test series against New Zealand. At the Sydney Cricket Ground, Australia won the first test 24-2, and it could have been a lot more if Frank Stanton's boys had taken all their chances. The second test was in Brisbane under the control of a young Eddie Ward. Steve Rebillard has the story.
The more recognisable names in the New Zealand lineup were Olsen Filipina in the centres and Mark Graham at lock, while their skipper was halfback Ken Sterling. Shane Barley, also normally a halfback, found himself on the wing and in for a day he'd rather forget. At fullback for Australia was John Doherty playing his first test. Cronin and Rogers were in the centres with Bob Fulton the captain and 5'8". Hooker John Lang had won back his test spot after 2 years. The late John Dallas Donnelly was one of his props. The match was barely 4 minutes old when New Zealand's defensive weaknesses were exposed. A win against the head, John Doherty joining the back line, and Neville Glover too much pace and power for the hapless Shane Barley.
Pick it up. Glover showing great speed and flying for the corner, and Glover dives, and there's the first try of the match. Australia leading 3-0.
A minute later, New Zealand kicked a penalty, but they'd be waiting a long time for their next points.
New Zealand by 3 points to 2 after 6 minutes of play.
Halfback Greg Oliphant was in the starting lineup for the first time and playing well, initiating this effective blindside switch.
This time, look at Doherty racing away. He's got support inside. Picked up by the second row forward. Reddy races away for the second try for Australia.
The Kiwis came closest to a first-half try when Olsen Filipina stepped through a usually solid defence.
Filipina making a break, and a good break from Filipina. He's got the full back to beat Doherty. Doherty takes him well, but he gets it back beautifully with the 5'8" Smith racing through, and he couldn't get the ball down. Double movement.
Is the replay. Filipina now shows his elusiveness. He has a step off his left foot, gets past the early defence, gets to the fullback, taken in a good tackle here by Doherty as he tries to step past him, gets it up to Smith, and Smith's pulled down just short of the line. Grounded there.
But with Johnny Lang winning the scrums at a 2-to-1 ratio, the wealth of possession wasn't squandered. Ray Price lurking out wide to set his Parramatta teammate away again.
Touchline and beats his opposite number, and there's another try coming up for Australia, the third one, and his second try as Neville Glover races around to put it down near the posts, and Australia lead 15-2.
Up by that score at half-time, the Australians pressed on. Rod Reddy and Ray Price shrugging off tackles too easily.
Trying to get the pass away. Price, the lock forward. And Price stepping through, almost through. Price racing through. The fourth try for Australia. Ray Price. And Australia lead 18-2.
Some poor defence from New Zealand. Determination from Price. I thought when he turned back to the left, as he does now, he was running away from his support. I thought he'd made an error in coming back in there, but he shows a clean pair of heels, good determination, and some poor defence from New Zealand to score a try, and a great determined run. Initially, I thought he went the wrong way.
Cronin's kick. And up go the flags, and Australia go to a lead of 20 points to 2.
John Doherty's dream debut continued. Try number 5 for Australia as he sets up Kerry Bowstead.
Scored a couple of tries on occasions from those upper numbers.
Look at Doherty getting into the line out to Bowstead. Bowstead, can he beat the full-back, but caught from behind, bounces away, and Bowstead gets going again. Look at the New Zealand defence coming from behind him, but the crowd roaring as Bowstead puts the ball down, and it's the 5th try to Australia, and Bowstead has scored, the hero of the crowd here.
Midway through the second half, the forwards got involved in a lively brawl which showed John Donnelly was a better footballer than boxer. However, the ensuing penalty went Australia's way.
Well, we're wondering when this was going to happen.
10 metres out from the line. Australia with the second kick. Fulton running around, and down the middle comes Price. Price just about through, struggles for the line, gets the ball down. Yes, his second try, Ray Price. Australia leading 28-2.
Steve Rogers injured an ankle earlier in the game, but showed no ill effects when presented with this opportunity.
To Reddy, having difficulties, but getting on to Cronin. Cronin gets out of the troubles he was in and does well on it. Rogers up towards the halfway mark. He's got Bowstead outside of him, but Rogers racing away. New Zealand cover defence coming across. Rogers for the corner. Bowstead inside, but Rogers scores it. And that's the 6th, 7th try for Australia. Australia leading by 33 points to 2.
It was a horror day for the Kiwis. Even Mark Graham coughing up precious possession.
New Zealand lock. Graham loses the ball in the tackle. It's picked up by Reddy. Reddy looks to Bowstead, but couldn't get it away when he wanted to. White goes to Bowstead now. Bowstead races away, beats the winger, and that's the second try for Kerry Bowstead coming up. Listen to the roar from this crowd of 16,000 as Bosted puts the ball down for his second try in the second test.
New Zealand's only try came very late, and they didn't even get to put the ball down. A penalty try awarded after Oliphant held back O'Hara in the chase for this ball.
O'Hara has Reddy toes it out.
38-7 the final score, a record-winning margin for Australia against...